Hello everybody, this is quixQuery here, back for another episode of Creedcraft Beyond. And so we are here today, and my thought for today is that we will continue to work in our cellar right down here, but we will also add something. The big plan I have for today is to get into the mod Woot. And so this mod is a mod that is intended for mob grinding without lag, because it doesn't actually even spawn in the mobs, but it is a good mob grinder anyway, and so, I don't know. And so we need a Woot manual, which means we need a book and some type of skull in order to start on this. And so fortunately for us, we have tinkers, so we can just use blank patterns, a piece of string, and some stuff like that. So we are all set as far as that goes, because we have some paper lying around here somewhere, I believe. Perfect. And we can get started because we do have mob skulls in here. It looks like skeleton is the one we have the most of, and so let's use one of those. And we got ourselves a Woot manual, so now I can figure out how on earth this mod works and get back to you once I know. Okay, so I read a little bit of the book, not all of it yet, and it looks like to start we need our mob factory layout block right here, which is some type of smooth stone and factory casing. The factory casing is, oh, that's interesting. Well, it requires that anyway. Oh, okay. The factory casing is this yaw hammer, casing die, a piece of obsidian, and some under iron. The under iron is that, a plate die, and obsidian. The plate die is made like that. So it's just looks like a lot of crafting mostly, and so I'm just gonna get to it and let you know once we have the layout block and are ready to put it down on the ground. So this is actually quite interesting. You only actually have to make one of each of these dies, and you are all set for all of the rest of Woot for, you're all good. You only have to make the die once. You only ever have to make one yaw hammer, and you only need one piece of obsidian to hammer it against, because it gives you the obsidian back too. So that is actually some really interesting mechanics, and I like it. And so you'll see right here that we get not only the casing die back, but also our piece of obsidian and our yaw hammer undamaged. So that is pretty cool. Very happy about that. But anyway, for the moment, we have our factory casing right there. We are just missing one thing. One thing of stone, and now we have a mob factory layout block right here, and we're supposed to set this down one block above the ground. So what we're going to do, I guess, it's a valid question. Where do we want to put this? For the moment, I think I'm going to put it. It's a valid. Let me think about this here real quick. Okay, I think we're just going to set it up temporarily right here. Okay, one block above the ground. Got our thing. Oh, okay. It said one block above the ground, I believe. One block above the ground. It will then show you the blocks. Which blocks go where in the multi-block. All factories require a number of colored structure blocks and capstones for that tier. Right-click the layout blocks to cycle through the different tiers. Oh, okay. So we can look at all of the different tiers of mob farms right now. This is tier 2. This is tier 3. Tier 4 is even more intense, and then it goes back to Tier 1. So it looks like each thing adds on to the previous one. Not necessarily requiring anything super duper additional. And so I think honestly, if we just start with the Tier 1 thing, we will be absolutely fine. So it appears that we need some sort of a skullish block, a lot of these base blocks, and these red blocks as well. Also need those skull and iron skull encrusted blocks, whatever that middle thing is, and some other stuff too. So let's craft together some of these parts and get back to you when I'm ready to put it together. Okay, so I started using our workshop table right here to do some of the crafting recipes, and it turns out that it actually consumed our yaw hammer and our connector die, which is required to make the capstone. And so we are now out of a and it consumed the obsidian as well. And so, you know, a lot of bad things just happened right there, so I will not be using that in combination with Woot anymore. It's fine though. We will be just fine as far as stuff like that goes, because the yaw hammer isn't that expensive. It's just some nether brick, sticks, and a couple pieces of string, and so I'm not too worried about that, but I just don't want to have to make one for every single recipe that we do. And so, yeah, something to note. Now that we have that problem all taken care of, we should now have all of the things that we need in order to make our thing right here. Just as a final check, though, it should... Okay, factory requires 13 gray structures, check. You can see right there. 14 red structure blocks, check. 2 tier 1 capstones, absolutely. This factory allows you... Oh no, that's tier 2. So anyway, tier 1 can only support the spawning of certain mobs, and it can only accept 2 tier 1 upgrades. You will need zombie flesh and bones to build the factory. It costs 80 RF per tick to run it. And it says building a factory. Once you have placed all the blocks, put the mob factory and mob controller in place. So eventually we'll need those, but for the moment, I think what we want to do actually, you know what? Let's do something different. I want let's put this on the ground. As we build this. Let's see, this is the line right here, and we'll be eventually make a tier 2 factory and stuff too, so it won't be a big deal anyway, but you know, and so I think we're just supposed to checker these red and gray ones. That one right there, that one, and then aha, and aha. So now we have all of those blocks in place. Okay, simple enough. Now the next step, it said, was to get our right-click the layout to cycle through the different tiers. To place all the blocks, put the mob factory and mob controller in place. Okay, so we need a mob factory and a mob controller. Ah, yes, there we are. Mob factory. That's 4 factory connectors, a tier 1, a tier 2, and a tier 3 upgrade, and a factory casing. And then we need the controller as well. mob controller. Aha, and that's just 4 heads, a factory casing, some glass, and a factory controller. Okay. And so that will tell it what mob we use. Okay, that makes sense. So we need to go build those 2 things and be back. Dun, dun, dun. We have everything to the best of my knowledge. Oh, there's already one back there to let us do this, so we don't even need this block right here. Awesome. So this is our grinder controller thingy. And this is where we pump all of our RF and all that other stuff into. It goes right into this block right there. And now this is our mob controller, which we set 2 different mobs depending on what we want the factory to be grinding for us. And then we'd also be pumping stuff out right here, I think. Let me read up on it real quick after this. But anyway, and so this is all of our input and output until we get something else to do that. And then in order to capture mobs and to program this mob controller to the mob we want, we have to use a mob prism. And a mob prism is a bunch of different dies, 2 pieces of under iron, and a mob prism frame. A mob prism frame is an eye of ender, 2 pieces of under iron, and a prism die. So it's just a little bit more crafting of some other stuff. But as we upgrade, we shouldn't need any more of these additional mob factory blocks right here, unless we want to make multiple of these, which is possible, but for the moment I think we're just going to be good with 1, depending on how good this thing is. And either way, we won't have the RF to support more than 1, and that's something we'll have to work on here. And so but anyway, our thing is complete, and so we're going to come under here, take up that block. Awesome. And so this should be totally complete. All we need to do is pump RF into here, and it will pump mob drops out one of the sides after we've programmed our mob controller right there. So that is how this thing should work. And so let's go and figure and make the extra thing that we need and finish this up. Okay, so we have our mob prism right here, and so what we need to do is find a mob to use this on. And so I'm thinking that for our first one, I'm probably just going to go with something basic like a skeleton, just to try it out. And so we need to find a skeleton somewhere, and I honestly think that the best place to do that is in the mining dimension. And now I know that that sounds kind of weird, because the mining dimension is supposed to always be day and stuff. Well, it's not always day. So we're just going to go there, and you will see why I have said this. Okay, so there's actually some mob grinders in here. I died in one of them at one point, and so oh, some leftover XP. Nice, I guess. And if we hop up on top, we will see, hopefully. Oh, okay. So now it's lever operated. That's actually really interesting. So inside here, I'm assuming there's some kind of lever or something that we can pull. Yes, it's in the ceiling. Awesome. So there we are. When we turn this on, it goes completely dark. That's a zombie, so we don't need to worry about it. That's a creeper. I'm not looking for a creeper right now. That's more zombies. There's a skeleton. Mob skeleton program. Awesome. There we go. Okay, so we got all that. Now let's put all this in there. Shut this mob farm off. Put everything in all of its proper place. Cool. Now, let's go back to the overworld and program that mob controller to the mob that we want it to be. Use on controller to program. So right click, right? Oh, hey, it formed! It formed a structure! Nice! Okay, so it's complete now. It says, yes, it says it's set to skeleton. That's awesome. And so now we just need, and you can see the things that we can get right there in our factory itself. And so spawning one mob every 320 ticks costs 551,000 RF at 160 RF per tick. Oh, okay. 160 RF per tick is what it costs to maintain a skeleton spawner with Woot. That is actually not bad at all. We can definitely maintain that. But for the moment, I think we're just going to use a temporary solution and then set something up between episodes with solar panels and stuff. Because we've already done a few solar panels over at spawn here for everyone to use. And so what we are going to do, let's take our wrench out. Actually, wait a second. I think there's a spare one of these around here somewhere. Aha, there is. And you know what that means? That means that we can do this without worrying about taking from the regular power situation. Ooh, creeper, 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 creeper. Run to the other corner. Get out a frying pan. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Get some experience with that. Now, underneath this, we want to put our energy cell so that this thing is receiving energy, and now on the top of this, we're just going to set all these to output right now and see if this thing starts receiving power. It is! Every 320 ticks, it will produce loot for one mob. 160 RF per tick. This isn't bad at all. Yeah. And we have our first stuff, so that is actually super awesome. I am very pleased about that. This thing is working! That's Woot! Okay, so that's actually pretty simple. At some point, we'll want to upgrade this to the tier 2, 3, or 4, and 4 stuff. We can actually do wither bosses and iron golems, I believe, and some other stuff like that, including wither skeletons and, just stuff like that. And so this is going to be a very nice thing for us to have around here. And so, very glad that we have this. And so, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next episode. Take care. Bye.